It's Spoilerin time. I'm so glad you joined us because this is the show where we have fun talking about watching stuff. Cordkillers, our other show, talks about how to watch the stuff. What are the services? Where do you find it? And then we get to come over here and talk about the stuff we watched. This week, we're talking about Better Call Saul, Season 6, Episode 6, Hacks on HBO Max, episodes 3 and 4 of Season 2, and Barry, Season 3, Episode 5, also on HBO/Max. I'm Tom Merritt. He's not Max. He's Brian Brushwood.
Well, I mean, first of all, that is not proven in a court of law. I might be both.
Brian Brushwood, there is.
I am the maximum Brian Brushwood. Actually, you know what? I'm not, because there's somebody in Australia also Brian Brushwood. There's one other Brian Brushwood in the world.
I don't know that he's more Brian Brushwood than you are, though.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I'd like to meet him.
What's his name?
It's Brian Brushwood.
What would I look up in the phone book for that?
His social media profile says, not that one.
Really? That's pretty funny. All right, let's start with Barry, Season 3, Episode 5. I'll be honest. This one, it flirted with bringing my interest back up to previous Barry season levels, but I'm not sure it ever got there exactly. I don't know. I feel like they're leading me somewhere, and that I'll feel better when I get there, but I'm not there yet. Maybe this would be a more bingeable episode. I did like the Sally storyline where like she's riding high. What do they call it? Roddy Tease? The Roddy Tease.
Roddy Tease. Okay. The moment that happened, I was like, oh, Tom's going to love that.
Oh, Eileen and I were just looking at each other like, Roddy Tease. Everything's like wonderful. She's on the homepage. They did a little kind of obvious bit, but still funny of like, why isn't anyone noticing me? I'm on the homepage of this website. And then they get canceled later that day. And they took all kinds of shots at Netflix about the algorithm. And I thought that part was funny.
Tom, this might have been the best episode of this season so far.
Oh, yeah?
I say with qualified praise.
Okay.
I will confess that the first time I did the Tonight Show, I spiked up my hair, I put on clothes, and I went to 3 different bars trying to get recognized. And one time, a girl walked up and says, excuse me. And I was like, yes. She said, can I squeeze in here? I'm trying to place an order. So that may have landed really well with me.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Also, I liked that there was an attempt to develop something interesting with like, okay, the Bolivian boss is gone, but his daughter is a real piece of work, and she's coming in hot and strong. I like that. I even liked the fairly disingenuous or possibly genuous Barry Zuckercorn. I can never remember his Gene Cousineau.
Cousineau, yeah. Cousineau's attempts at apologies. I felt like that played really well.
Right.
It wasn't what I expect from Barry, but they balanced those scenes perfectly to the point where I also believe that there would be someone who's like, I don't care if you're being sincere. You hurt me too much, and I'm out of here.
If they're trying to set up an opportunity for Cousineau to say, Barry, I don't know what you did to me, but all of a sudden my life is just so great. I don't even mind that you killed my girlfriend. All I know is I've been bad for a very long time, and now I'm being good, and I owe that to you, Barry. You can't leave me now, Barry. You have to be my coach.
You have to kill this woman who won't forgive me.
Maybe. All I know is more interesting things are possible now than were 2 episodes ago.
No, that's very much true. I also I didn't love Sally's sort of flat, like, we can't be together.
There was a brief moment. There was a brief moment that I thought she was about to get really interesting as he was talking about in graphic detail gaslighting.
That's where I was going. I didn't like outside the play. She's like, we can't be together. That was last week's episode. When he comes over to her house to leave the keys and she comes home and he's trying to comfort her, and it's very sincerely like, it's nothing bad. You just drive her crazy. And then she ends up hanging herself. So you're basically off the hook. And to him, it's like, this is what I would do for a friend. And to her, it's like, you're extremely scary. Get out of my house. I did like that. That's where I was going with
Oh,
that.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. I did not like that
Oh, you did
because
not.
she became very boring to me in that moment. She would have been very interesting if
Mm.
instead she had said, teach me your ways. And
Well, I wouldn't have believed Teach Me Your Ways. I believed that she would be horrified by that. I didn't believe she would have just yelled at him and not been like, "What are you talking about? Why are you saying this?" Because that was the same abruptness that I didn't buy last week. But now that you've said that, it has me thinking,
this
but
was
that's
a
what they're
setup.
playing. They play her as an abrupt reaction and then a change of heart later.
Yeah.
She may yet get
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Between the two of us, I think we solved the case, sir.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's exactly what they do.
yeah.
Meanwhile, least interesting character, best actor, Stephen Root. What is happening?
Yeah, with the motorcycle lady
No,
where
dude,
he's
just
like,
chasing around everyone.
Yeah,
Hey, handing around chick tracts about like, have you heard the bad news about Barry?
About
It's
Barry.
like it's like 4 episodes of this you're giving us. What is this?
yeah, we're keeping him on the burner. We're keeping him on simmer until more of it comes to pass on Barry. And as we knew, the first attempt to get him fails, and poor lady shoots her son and then has to drive off. I actually thought for a second that Barry was going to come over and see that she
Save
had
them.
shot and drive them to the hospital. And then
Yeah.
there would be this interesting, like, but we hate him, but he helped us. I guess maybe they thought that was too obvious to do, but I'm not sure why we saw that yet.
There's a word narrative experts use for that moment. It would have been interesting. That's what I'm looking for. That would have been interesting. Yes. Instead, we took the road
Although-
less traveled.
With Barry at this point, it would be borderline obvious, right? So that I could see where they might go like, everybody at this point, everybody's going to expect that to happen. So that's not what we're going to do. But then I'm left wondering like, okay, but then why did we see that scene?
Yeah. Why did we see any of that?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't help you there.
I did personally feel something for the harshness of an algorithm that picks winners and losers, and the doublespeak with which humans try to justify their allegiance to just doing whatever the algorithm says.
Oh, that was so well done. Yeah.
It was
Like, and that's
unpleasant
sort of
and
like,
powerful.
If I could, I would appeal your case to your boss, but I am the boss. So you see where I am.
Which
Like, that was just-
might have struck home a little bit hard as the boss. Like, if only there was somebody I could appeal to. But
yeah.
it's me.
Because it's basically not I want to help you. It's like I wish I could defer this decision to someone else, but I can't. So you understand the position I'm in. I have to actually take responsibility for this decision. Also, it's the algorithm.
Where do we think stuff's gonna? Am I alone in thinking, just in general, they've given too much narrative power to NoHo Hank? I think he was a great supporting actor in the first season, good in the second season, but he's almost the lead of this season, and I'm just not.
He's a main character, right? It's Kuzuno, Barry, Sally, Kuzuno, Barry, and
Barely
NoHo Hank.
Barry. I mean, it's pretty much NoHo Hank and Kusuno and.
Well, that's why I
and-
said Barry
yeah.
Sally, because Barry's storyline is it was with Kuzuno and now it has moved over to Sally, but it hasn't stood on its own. It's always been with one or the other of those.
Bryce, you watching this? How are you? You're out.
No, I'm still not.
Smart.
All right. Well, that is Barry, season 3, episode 5. Let's talk about Hacks, season 2, episodes 3 and 4. These are very different episodes. Episode 4, I'll get to in a second. It's about cruise ship with a hilarious misbooking. You said a gay cruise. I didn't know it'd be a lesbian cruise, and hilarity ensues. Episode 3. Let's start with that, Brian, because I thought this was a great episode. except I wasn't sure didn't hate it until about 20 minutes in. And I remember having this problem with hacks in the past. Not a problem. It's actually genius. Let's call it an observation where they'll be playing a joke. In this case, the joke is that Deborah is mad and won't do anything nice until she stops being mad, but won't send our writer character away. I'm getting tired of it at the point where I'm like, I don't know if I like this anymore. They're just beating this to death. It turns. And this time it turned when she woke up in the middle of the night because the ashes of her dad are missing. And the bus, coordinator is like, yeah, throw it out. What's the big deal? And this would be another time for Deborah to lay into her and doesn't. And in fact, helps her find the ashes, gives up a date. So there were stakes, right? This wasn't like, well, I guess I can be nice this time. It was like, I'm actually going to sacrifice something to help you because I understand just how bad this is. And it was fun making you feel bad before, but this isn't fun. And suddenly I loved hacks again. Not that I stopped loving it, but I was like, I should have had faith. I knew where they were going to do something. And they always seem to time it perfectly for me, where like just when I'm about tired, they flip the switch.
Going backwards in time, yes, that ending was fantastic, specifically because it revealed just at like they spent a good episode and a half making us think that maybe Deborah Vance was not a human, and then it turns out
like,
she's a
okay,
human.
I get it. Deborah hates Ava. We all, like right when I was like my patience is up is when it flipped for me. I don't know if it went too long for you, maybe.
No, it was well timed. My attraction to this episode was all of the nostalgia flood bomb I got from almost 20 years ago when I toured on a tour bus with that country music tour with Brooks and Dunn, Rascal Flatts, Brad Paisley, and so on. Like all of those details, they were right down to the I got oil spotted, which is a word that I found out exists. That's when the bus leaves without you because you were told by weed to be there at a certain time and you were 2 minutes late. So they made an example of you. That's why I slept on the floor of country music star Aaron Lyons' bus. I loved all of that stuff. Going into episode 4, we get kind of a 2-episode arc of what's the name of her manager who's obsessed with the job?
Marcus.
We see Marcus swing pretty wildly into despair and so on over, an identity crisis and adopting a puppy and so on. By the way, Marcus's mom and her friend, chef's kiss. I would watch a whole show with just them.
Absolutely.
They're great.
100%. Yeah.
But going into episode 4 was a bit of a miss for me because I neither was particularly into Ava's journey of debauchery on the lesbian cruise, nor was I okay with Deborah Vance's dated take on lesbians. So nor was I happy with Marcus's behavior, including his dog eating a bunch of Adderall. I found myself not having a great time in episode 4.
I'm mostly with you. Marcus's story, I now realize, was all in service of getting him on the bus. And so, okay, I'm not in love with how they got him on the bus. And certainly this episode was the culmination of that, where I'm like, oh, okay, he's desperate. He's on Molly. That scene in the club was actually well executed, but I was like, I just am not into this part of the story. It doesn't seem connected. Now it's connected. Fine. Ava's debauchery was fine with me. I didn't love it or hate it. I actually was kind of happy for Ava. I was like, oh, good. Ava gets to have some fun for once. I'm pleased by that. Deborah, I started loving it. I started by like, oh yeah, no, Deborah is going to make missteps, but
have a breakthrough.
But she's going to love these people. And that's what started to happen. And I was like, but the problem is what Deborah loves is the attention. So how are we going to deal with the fact that she really doesn't understand the culture? She's just lapping up the attention, right? How is she going to misstep? And they misstepped in her stand-up, and I don't know. I guess I buy that someone from her generation would do it like that. But the one that lost me was the like parallel parking joke. I'm like, would Deborah? I know someone from her era would make that joke, and I know she's definitely heard people make that joke about parallel parking. But would Deborah? It didn't quite fit. I feel like she could have offended them more creatively. Like that was a bit of an easy mark for her.
I agree. However, I've been there in person and witnessed people short circuit and just go to
Yeah.
old material, whether it
But
was
that her old
appropriate
material? I guess that was the part where I'm like,
Well,
I don't
that's
know.
what I read it as.
because Ava goes, well, she's going off book. So
Right.
Yeah, we know that.
so
But the parallel parking is like making fun of women, which Deborah doesn't generally do.
unless she's drunk off of the attention, right? I mean, her next move was to do the shoulder move again. I mean, it was
That I totally 100% buy, right? Like that fit. The parallel parking thing, I'm like, I don't know. Is that her joke or is that just, and maybe she's just mimicking a joke. She's like, I know I would have got mad at this, so let me throw it at them.
Well, they had a previously established as canon that her old act was rote garbage.
Yeah.
And so
But was it misogynist wrote garbage? I don't recall that. Maybe I'm just black.
I would assume that's the case if she was horrified to find out that she was on a boat full of women. So yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. When she starts and ends the episode by angrily shouting into a cell phone, "It's a lesbian cruise!" Like, I think she probably doesn't have the best foundation.
Bryce, when we talked earlier, it sounded like you were a bigger fan of this episode than I was.
I really liked this fourth episode because we had that third episode. I think last week I mentioned it, but I was very worried about this lawsuit thing taking over the entire season because so many other shows that would happen. Just this is the lawsuit season. And by having that third episode, we kind of like settled down a little bit and we say like, hey, we're going to keep mentioning Chekhov's lawsuit, but like none of us need to be thinking about that anymore, which is exactly what I needed to hear. That opened up all of the doors on the ship. That opened up all of the conflict and the resolution of the ashes and the.
Thank you for saying ship.
Oh, yeah, it's
not a boat.
Not a boat. It's a ship.
I found myself correcting somebody today.
That was such a great line. It was great. I even kind of love that the way Deborah bombs is not because she's mean or a bad person necessarily. It's she's on stage and she's not doing a good job of being the person on stage.
Yeah. But
she doesn't know her audience as well.
We also see her do a good
caught
job.
up in the minutia of like, oh, but would that be Deborah's line? When the big picture is like, absolutely, she liked the attention, and when the attention required her to change, she was not going to change.
Well, and
that scans.
I think for me, part of the reason they earned the me believing the downfall was because she walks up on stage while somebody else is performing with a mic and a piano, grabs the mic and says, "Excuse me, I'm going to take this," and they're generous, and then she nails it, and I'm like, I would never do that in a million years. But her instincts served her well in that moment. So later on, seeing her instincts not serve her well was also believable. Also, oh my God, could you imagine getting into a dinghy and having everybody lined up to say, "You're bad and we don't like you"?
We took a vote.
Oh my God.
A quorum. That was so great. Yes, everybody voted to kick you off. Like it is that saved it. Also, by the way, I feel like if you were very nitpicky about this, the way that this ends like a Looney Tunes cartoon, it just deflates any issues that you would have with the plot of this episode. I feel like
I will say that Ava's announcing, "I have taken Molly and therefore I must dance," was a bit.
You need a button. You gotta have her dancing at the end, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on Hacks season 2, episodes 3 and 4?
Continues to be great. Go ahead.
The pep talk in episode 3, the titular trust the process talk is great, and the punchline of, "Oh yeah,
they suck. They lose all the time.
They lose all the time." It was so perfect. It's great. It's such a fun show.
That was genius. All right. That is Hacks season 2, episodes 3 and 4. Let's talk about Better Call Saul, season 6, episode 6, and the the unraveling of the plan is that the judge whose picture they were trying to fake broke his arm. Uh, and we get Kim Wexler saying, "Nope, we're not abandoning this plan. I'm going to do a U-turn. I'm going to give up the whole one of the points of the plan. One point was to embarrass Howard, of course, but the other point of the plan was to get her money to start a thing, and it's looking like she could actually get that money legitimately without having to go to the plan, but she gives up the meeting that would get her the money legitimately to go do the plan that will get the money illegitimately, or use the illegitimate money anyway. It was definitely a turning point in literal and figurative ways for Kim Wexler, and we also got a flashback at the very beginning that shows that Wexler has broken bad before under the tutelage of her mother to pull scams in mall security.
I am very, very, very much hoping that wherever they go this season, Kim Wexler is alive and well so that we can have a third Vince Gilligan series all about Kim Wexler.
Better Call Kim.
The real genius, the person who wrote the character, the brains, the muscle, the courage of everything you see from Saul Goodman is all secretly Kim Wexler. I'm so into all of that. We literally watch her cross a literal threshold. She's driving down one path towards legitimate success, gets the phone call that their sneaky snake plan is in jeopardy. So she drives and makes a total U-turn because damn it, she's the real Saul Goodman, and it's so good.
Yeah, and this explains why Jimmy McGill was never Saul Goodman. Like, one of the questions I had at the beginning of this is like, okay, but why is he legit, right? Like, he was slipping Jimmy for a while, but like, you're telling us that he didn't like being slipping Jimmy. So how does he become Saul? And what a brilliant answer. It's like, because Kim Wexler, I guess. Yeah, totally love that.
On top of that, moments I loved. Remember, they're hiring a random actor to portray the judge, and they're arguing about the mustache or whatever. That actor is one of the alumnus from Mr. Show.
John Posey.
Oh, no. That's the actual
no, that's the
guy.
actual guy.
Yeah. The guy portraying the guy is, I forget. Yeah, there he is right there.
John Enos.
John Enos. Yeah. It was great. Loved seeing all of that.
Yeah. And we get Lalo confronting
also, I want 7
Germany.
seasons of Lalo hunting Germans. That's
Yeah.
all I want.
That was a whole episode in and of itself, right there. And we get a little bit of Fring and Mike sort of dealing with the fear of Lalo while we all know he's in Germany.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's a bit weird with the Mike stuff because we know he at least makes it a few more years. We know that he's not really in danger. It is super sweet that he's pretending to be on the road while, telling the story of the stars to his granddaughter, which, for those who don't know, like, I found myself trying to anticipate the next thing he was going to say. I learned the winter night sky while my wife was pregnant, specifically so I could do exactly what Mike Ehrmantraut was doing in that moment.
It continues to stun me that this show, when I look back on it, doesn't have that many things happen. It's not action-packed, but I am never bored because it is so well constructed and so well shot.
Did they fully explain why Saul went to a vet and got wicked high?
Well, I think they were
No.
testing a chemical for the D-Day plan.
Yes,
Right.
we don't know what the chemical is going to be used for or was supposed to be used for in the D-Day plan. I would assume it's to make Howard test positive for drugs, but I could be
or to
wrong. It might be more
appear
subtle.
to appear on drugs because they say it doesn't show up
because
in
they
the
want to
p-test.
dilate his eyes.
They did mention that. Just the patch of skin that you applied it. That's the only thing that feels kind of weird. And separately, in a previous cord killing time, we had seen J.K. Simmons apply fentanyl, just slapping it across someone's face, and then they immediately went out. So maybe it's something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's probably meant to frame up Howard, or I don't know. We'll see. I did like the vet's story of like, yeah, I'm cashing out. You know, I'm done. I'm out of here. You want my little black book, Saul Goodman? Here you go.
And then we see just enough to see that it's all encrypted, and it's like, yeah, of course, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on BCS?
So good. One of the things I've made a game of looking for in all Vince Gilligan anythings is the self-contained packaging of the story. And if I remember correctly, the way this one began revealed something that was hidden from us. Howard Hamlin, part of the reason he's in his hippie namaste going to therapy world is because his marriage is dissolving, and they never say anything about it, but they show you in a million little ways, and including the moment that she takes, the peace symbol and the espresso, pours it into her mug, and then walks off, and then Bonnie nailed it. She was just like, he's not going to be able to handle that. He's going to clean that up. And then, sure enough, walks right on over and does so. It's great.
Yeah, this is a horror show of a marriage. I would rather see screaming and emotions than the sort of like cold politeness that these two show. It was debilitating to watch that and be like, oh, please, you too. Like, how are you doing this? It's insane.
I mean, I ain't never been through a divorce, but I would imagine that's more indicative of what it's like than the cartoon that we would like to imagine.
No, exactly. All right. Well, that's Better Call Saul, season 6, episode 6. Once again, don't forget Memorial Day holiday in the United States. So we will be back with Spoilerin Time on June 6th, and it will be jam-packed because we'll have the mid-season finale. It's not really a finale if it's mid-season, but the mid-season finale is what they call it. Better Call Saul, that's season 6, episode 7. We will have Barry, season 3, episode 6. We'll have the premiere of Obi-Wan. They're going to give us 2 episodes next week and another episode after that. So we'll have episodes 1 through 3, half the season of Obi-Wan. And of course, Hacks, the remainder of the Hacks season, episodes 5 through 8. So that's all coming up on June 6th. We will spoil you then.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.